Alright, so we're going live. I wasn't even really going to do this, so bear with me. You know, I don't really do this live too much. Excuse me, traveling, not driving. So, I'll make this short. I just wanted to update a few of my friends and followers about what's been going on here lately, and you know what I've been experiencing. Just a little background. For the past 6 years, I have been traveling without plates, consumer goods, household goods, as affirmed in Supreme Court as household goods, private property. So it's not the, according to the Supreme Court, and according to the laws and definitions that are already in place, it's not the description of the automobile that makes it a motor vehicle. It's actually the use. Okay, so for example, you can go buy a tractor trailer from the auction, and you can use it every day to travel back and forth to HEB or anywhere you want. If you're not getting paid as an employee, then according to Title 18 USC 31 definitions, Section 6 and 10, you're not using it for commercial purposes only. Okay, 49 CFR 390.5 definition of a driver is one who's commercial, operating a commercial vehicle. That's backed up by Supreme Court cases as well. Basically, I've gotten pulled over a few times, and for example, I was pulled over out in Grimes County, Texas, and basically, sheriff, it was 5 o'clock in the morning. It was 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. It was pitch black. And the sheriff deputy said I was speeding. Well, he didn't even have his lights on. He was right by the side of the road. I almost hit him because I didn't see him. So I swerved a little bit to move out of the way. It was on the freeway. Anyway, whenever he pulled me over, and this is back in 2013, I believe, I said, hey, I'm going to turn off my truck. I said, I don't have my license. I don't have any of that information you're wanting. But I'm going to turn off my truck, and I want you to go look up Texas Transportation Code 201.904, which says that these speed signs are commercial vehicles anyway. And then look up the definition of a motor vehicle in Title 18 USC 31, and then I'll wait on you to come back. So he came back and he said, are you trying to tell me that these signs don't apply to you? And I said, absolutely. He said, okay, well, slow it down, have a good day. I mean, it was real quick and easy. It was fine, He was kind of shocked, maybe, I don't know, or maybe he was actually just an oath keeper, and he was abiding in his oath to the Constitution. Where if the laws are repugnant to the Constitution and he's not trying to violate anybody's rights, then he was well within his discretion to do the right thing. But technically, whenever they're pulling you over, that's an illegal trespass and false arrest. It's an illegal detention. So traffic stop is an arrest whenever they're pulling you over. It's a false arrest when they pull you over without probable cause. So if you don't have a plate, for example, then there's no prima facie evidence that you are operating a motor vehicle, operating being a commercial term, motor vehicle being a commercial term, all governed by the UCC, Texas Transportation Code, or whatever city, state you're in. 2016 time frame, I went into the court to take care of this. The prosecutor wanted to give me time served since I had been arrested and I had time in the books. They just wanted their conviction, right? So it was expired inspection sticker and no license plate. At that time, I had a printed out Title 18, Chapter 31 definitions. I showed it to him, and I said, no, I want to take this to trial, and I want you to prove that I was operating a motor vehicle. And so he looked at me at that time, and he told me to go sit down. And then from that time frame, the tickets were then dismissed. You can look at their DUNS numbers. These entities are DBAs. They're doing business as they're for-profit organizations, EINs. They got it all. Anyway, so that was 2016. Got 2 tickets dismissed. I went for him for the 2 misdemeanors for failure to ID as a fugitive because of that Montgomery County warrant that was $25,000 at the time, I think. And failure to ID as a fugitive and interference with the duties of a police officer, because they wanted my fingerprints, and I told them that I did not consent to a search and giving my personal information, my fingerprints, my property. It's a violation of the 4th and 5th Amendment. Illegal search and seizure without a... Okay, sorry about that. I had a phone call. So, anyway, they arrested me for those. I went before Judge Jordan, and I took my King James Bible with me, a 1611 version, and I told him that this is my law. I said, if there's any man here today that has a claim against me, then let him stand up. Otherwise, I demand for this case to be dismissed. And I was standing behind the bar at the time. He said, well, step over the bar. I need to speak with you. And I said, well, I don't want to, I don't want you to assume any type of, jurisdiction. I'm not going in contract. At the time, he said, hey, it's okay. He said, you can reserve your rights. That I reserved my rights in front of all the witnesses of the court system there. And I told him, I said, look, I don't, waive my rights here. I showed him my paperwork. I showed him DBA. I showed him the birth certificate that I've got, and did not hand it to him. It's got my seal on it, but I told him, I said, here's my injunction, and here's my paperwork. Actually, besides the fact that y'all don't have any personam jurisdiction, I said, you don't have any subject matter jurisdiction anyway, because whenever the officer put me over, I didn't have any plates on the back of my automobile, which means that there was no prima facie evidence or probable cause for him to pull me over. And the DA was kind of shook. The judge said, and he started stuttering. And we were going to give him time served and dismiss this one and do time served for this one. And he said, no, there's no probable cause for the arrest. You're free to go, sir. Both charges are being dismissed for no probable cause. And that was failure to ID as a fugitive, misdemeanor, and interference with police duty because they wanted my fingerprints. No probable cause for the stop means that whenever those officers put on those emergency lights to pull me over, they were without probable cause and they were violating my rights. The two cops, they said they have never seen anything like that, and the way the judge treated me with respect was very honorable. A day later, they called me back, and whenever they called me back, they said, I was supposed to be on the next docket, 10 o'clock docket. Well, I sat out, waited for the 1 o'clock docket. After that, bailiff came out there about 2 or 3 o'clock and said, hey, judge wants to see you. All your tickets have been dismissed. So at that time, I didn't know how many I had. The judge just dismissed 10 charges. Checked on that. It was everything from failure to appear, no license, no insurance, etc., 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 because they did not have personam jurisdiction. Okay, I didn't even file anything on those. Every one that I've gotten dismissed, I never filed any paperwork. Isn't that interesting? Never filed paperwork for the ones that I got dismissed. Two tickets in 2016, 2 misdemeanors in December of last year, and then 10 tickets this year that I've gotten dismissed. And then I got the criminal trespass from the Capitol. I got that dismissed with the help of an attorney. That's the one where we sued DPS, and ended up taking that to appeals court on the Title 42 1983 claim. So 15 cases in total, at least, that I've gotten dismissed. Those 14 here since 2006. Because no personam jurisdiction, no subject matter jurisdiction. Okay? And that's the basis of it. So I said all that to give background into what happened this month. The truck stop, it was a well-lit area, very safe, and felt good. I rolled down my window and waited for the guy to come to the door, but by then there were two of them at least. I think there were 3 or 4 that were just pulling up. And the one officer came to my window, or they started yelling, "Hands out the window, hands out the window." So I did that, and they came at me with their pistol in my face, pointing his gun at me. One officer had an AR-15 pointing that gun at me, and I told him, I said, put your guns down. I mean, that's pretty much all I said to him. Put your guns down. What are you pointing weapons at me for? And all this kind of stuff. They opened my door, pulled me out. Basically just, a gross violation there. And after they did that, they cuffed me. He started going through my truck. I told him right then and there, I do not consent to a search. He didn't care. It was a sergeant. He had, 2 stripes down, so should have been a senior officer, but he was an oath breaker, violating his oath to the Constitution, of course. At that time, I told him, "Hey, Sarge, can we talk? Can we have a conversation? I don't consent to a search. You're going through my truck." And he was going through my paperwork that I had in a folder. And after a few minutes, they put me into the cruiser, and he said, "Well, you're being detained for not having a license plate." And he was taking pictures of my private property notice. So he was given notice, and he ignored that private property notice and continued to trespass. Again, human rights violations, Geneva Convention, and everything. After he told me I was being detained for no license plate, then he went right into reading from a card my rights. He read me my rights. And as soon as he got done reading me my rights from this little card, he said, "Do you understand and waive these rights?" I mean, it was very quick, as if he, was reading directly from the card. Does the Miranda warning at the end, does it end like that? Do you understand and waive these rights? Is that how that Miranda goes? I said, I waive no rights. Whenever he asked me if I waived the rights. And so as soon as I told him that I waived no rights, he shut the door. Well, he said, "You're being arrested for evading." That's a felony, by the way. And so because I said I do not waive any rights, he said, "Okay, well, you're being arrested for evading." But I was being detained for no license plate. Doesn't have any probable cause to pull me over anyway. No prima facie evidence or probable cause. And then he says felony evading because I don't want to waive my rights. That's crazy. For those of you who are tuning in, I'm just basically giving you a brief overview of what's been going on in my life, these fight, And the thing is, look, I told a police officer yesterday that I'm not wanting to fight the state. All I want to do is protect my rights. That's it. So I'm pulled over yesterday by a constable, precinct 4 again. Just to recap, precinct 4 constable pulled me over back in 2014. I got both of those dismissed in 2016. No probable cause, as I was not operating a motor vehicle. So constable pulls me over. He says the reason he pulled me over is because I don't have a sticker. I told him, okay, well, he asked me for my license, registration, and insurance. And I told him, I said, I'll be very nice. And I told him, I said, I don't have what you're asking for, but what I do have is this. I showed him, my dismissal from the last one, and I showed him a couple of other papers, my DBA and fee schedule and a few things, the injunction. I showed him the injunction. And at that time, he was already ticked off. He was ticked off whenever he pulled me over. But he went back to the car, said basically, I'm going to be impounded. He started asking, I had a worker with me. He started asking him for his ID. What does my worker need a driver's license for? He's not driving. He's riding. But anyway, went through all that. He called for backup, of course. 2 other cars showed up, one of which was a lieutenant. Really good guy. Talked to him for a while. We had a really good conversation, and we talked about the law and how it's being misapplied and misidentifying motor vehicles, private automobiles, and household goods as private property has been misapplied and mischaracterized as motor vehicle. Talked about a lot of things. Had a very good conversation. It was a long ordeal. I don't know, an hour or two. And at the end of the day, we came to a pretty nice, resolution, so to speak. I mean, I did get the tickets, but I did not get impounded, did not get arrested, so that was a good thing. The real update that I wanted to provide, though, is that, setting precedent within those same jurisdictions of Precinct 4 constables and Harris County having the tickets dismissed already and then being pulled over and ticketed for the same thing. That's very interesting. The officer said, the best thing to do in Wation, we talked about it. He said, get an occupational license, okay, and we need some proof of financial responsibility. He said, now I don't care if you've got your fucking trust, or if you've got a surety bond, or if you have money in the bank and you have proof financial responsibility that then that's fine. He said, you don't have to quote unquote get insurance, and that's what he told me. He said, but at the end of the day, he wants to know that I've got proof of financial responsibility. In his eyes, that's the best thing, regardless of jurisdiction, regardless of personam or subject matter jurisdiction, legal persons or men or private property. He said he didn't care about all that. He doesn't care about the license so much. He doesn't care about the license plate and all that. He just wants to know, do I have insurance or do I have financial responsibility? And also the vehicle and trust. It was very interesting. These guys are not new to the job. Got 20 years experience each. But I'm not in jail, and I'm working, trying to provide for my family and pay off all these bonds and fees that I've been, basically, forced into, accepting those contracts just so I can get out of jail. Anyway, I told you I wasn't going to make this long, and here we are. We've been in it for 30 minutes or so. Love y'all, and if you got any comments or anything, just leave them below or shoot me a DM, and we'll talk later. Ray, thanks for tuning in live. Ty, thanks for tuning in live. Anybody else, it should be posted. I just did it friends only, not public. It should be on my story, so check it out later. Leave me some comments, and let's stay connected. Shalom and peace and blessings, love to each and every one of you.